What's good, everybody? It is your boy Tony the Savant back with another one. Hope you're having a good to great day. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on when you pull up to the video. All right, man. Um, so I just learned that Dwayne Wade had a podcast. Uh, all these former NBA players or current NBA players popping up with podcasts. Um, Man, they oversaturating the game, ain't they? I mean, I just can't keep up with them. Paul George got one. Pat Bev got one, and I enjoy both of theirs. Gilbert Arenas from time to time, I'll tap in. Um, but yeah, man, there's just so many podcasts of these NBA players that I was not aware that Dwayne Wade had one. But I also should follow that up with I don't follow Dwayne Wade on these social media platforms, as I totally disagree with some of his parenting methods. But that doesn't cancel out the fact that at one point in time, Dwayne Wade was one of my favorite basketball players, especially during his time with the Miami Heat, and even during the time when he and LeBron James and Chris Bosh all teamed up in Miami. Even during that period of time, Dwayne Wade remained one of my favorite players in the league. Uh, and there's a recent story that just came out on his podcast, as he had one of his longtime friends, um, Chris Paul, on the show. And these two discuss a particular matter that I wasn't aware of. I believe that the NBA world or basketball world in total wasn't really aware of. But they discuss a particular trade that went down um, that would have had Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James all on the Miami Heat. Apparently and allegedly, this deal was fully done. So much so to the point where, the game plan as far as how the ball movement was going to, play out, how Chris Paul, how many quote unquote touches he would get in the game. They had off-ball plays written up for Chris Paul. Apparently, all of the details was notched. But one particular concern came up about who would wear number 3. As if y'all don't remember, or some of you younger NBA fans may not have even realized, but Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade both wear the number 3. And in 2010, 2011, in that time frame when the trade allegedly had happened, those two guys were, rising stars. Dwayne Wade was more of an established star, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP at this particular time. And Chris Paul, excuse me, was definitely on his comeuppance, establishing himself as one of the better pure point guards in the league. I do remember, a lot of conversations surrounding Chris Paul and Deron Williams and Steve Nash and Jason Kidd as to who was the better, point guard amongst those guys. So Chris Paul was definitely on the map. Dwayne Wade was certainly established. So these two dudes wore the number 3. And Chris Paul's brother, I think the dude name was CJ Paul, I believe. I guess he's Chris Paul's agent or something like that, spokesperson. He asks the question, who's going to wear number 3? Now, apparently, like I said, all of the details was notched and done. But it came down to when Pat Riley talked with Dwayne Wade about the trade, and I'm just going off an article. I believe this is how the story goes, because I didn't actually watch the episode of this particular conversation that Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade had. Y'all forgive me. I usually tune and tap in, but there's been so much stuff coming across the desk that I just kind of I like to read. My particular method of when I'm digesting information more times than not. If it's not an actual game or sports event, I'll read an article about it. Or if I missed something, before I go, immediately watch another YouTube or watch one of the top talents in the mainstream. I'll go seek out an article, some from a beat writer. Usually they're a little bit more honest with their reporting. Excuse me. But at the same time, the article I read on this said that Pat Riley, when it came to the point in time when Pat Riley had a discussion with Dwayne Wade about acquiring Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade said no. Not because he did not want to play with such a talent as Chris Paul, but Dwayne Wade said that he had already sacrificed, his touches of the basketball with the bringing on of LeBron James and Chris Bosh, respectfully. He had already sacrificed money, which we all, that's more of the famous things about the big three that we remember, and their initial teaming up. Dwayne Wade has sacrificed a lot, and especially when you consider of all these dudes, he was the only one with an NBA championship on his resume at this time. So it would have been, I think, incredibly uh, uh, a lot. I'm trying to think of a word. I think it would have been bold of the Miami Heat to ask him to change his number as well. But I don't think that would have been a reason enough to not bring on a guy like Chris Paul, a talent of that magnitude, considering what the Miami Heat already had and what they needed. Was primarily a ball handler to be on the ball for LeBron James and Dwayne Wade at that time. But nonetheless, the deal falls through because neither one of these fools wanted to give up wearing the number 3. And in the article, it kind of highlighted some of the stuff that these two were discussing and some quotes from that article. And it got to a point where Chris Paul even said something on the lines of Dwayne Wade should have worn number 33 because he was older and some nonsense like that. And I'm thinking in my head, like, dude, the boldness of this dude. Chris Paul has the same type of delusion as LeBron James as far as where he is in the NBA and what he thinks he is in the NBA. And then to ask Dwayne Wade again, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, an established superstar in the league, perennial All Star, all that good stuff. To ask him to change his number for Chris Paul, who had accomplished nothing at the time. Respectfully, Chris Paul, I don't believe he's definitely never been an NBA MVP. He's never been a scoring champion. I believe he's been an assist champion. As far as leading the league in assists a few times. Ooh, excuse me. But outside of that, it's like, man, you got some nerve, some gall to come in here in my house. Dwayne Wade built the Miami Heat, the Miami culture as we know it now. Of course, it's all Pat Riley. He's the godfather of the Miami Heat culture. But that was all built on Dwayne Wade's, play and his approach to the game. Before LeBron James got there, while LeBron was there, and even after LeBron James left, Wade County is a real thing. You know what I mean? It's a real place, and they embrace Dwayne Wade for real out there. More so in the past, during his playing days, Florida's a lot more conservative. Miami's a little bit more liberal, but like I say, I love Dwayne Wade. That was probably my favorite player at one point in time. I would say that he eclipsed even Kobe Bryant because Dwayne Wade was from Chicago. If y'all don't know, I told the story a few times before, but I had a cousin who grew up in the same part of Illinois because Dwayne Wade isn't from the actual city of Chicago. He's from a suburb outside of Chicago. So I had family that grew up in the same suburb as Dwayne Wade, actually grew up with him. And so they were diehard fans of Dwayne Wade long before he even made it to the NBA. You know, I remember my cousin riding out to Marquette, Marquette College to watch Dwayne Wade play games. So, um, you know, for a long time I had this, adoration for Dwayne Wade. Definitely, like I say, was my favorite basketball player for some time. But the moves he's been making post career and his parenting methods, I don't agree with respectfully, but I just don't. And so I lost a lot of my uh, admiration that I had for him. Um, so much so to the point, like I said, I was not aware that this guy had a a podcast. This guy at one point was one of my favorite basketball players. That would be like as if Kobe Bryant had a podcast and I did not know about it. That it would be a kind of hard press to not know that one of my favorite basketball players has a podcast. It'd be more just like if Steph Curry had one and I wasn't aware of it. I follow my guys, the guys that I support, that I root for. But Dwayne Wade has fallen from grace in my eyes, and so I guess I'll tune into his podcast now that I'm aware of it. See what he's talking about over there. But I feel like these dudes are oversaturating the market, man. I mean, us independent content creators, it's it's a small enough, it's enough room for everybody. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard enough for us to get into the niche, and now all these former players or NBA players are starting their podcasts. I will concede this: it's a little annoying. It's a little annoying that there's so many of these dudes popping into the market, but still can't do it like me, respectfully. But that's all I got for y'all on this one. It is your boy Tony the Savant. Please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping content on the channel. As your love, support, all that good stuff does help. Please don't forget to hit the like button as well. Definitely helps the channel grow, helps the videos get into the rhythm, all that good stuff. So, once again, it's your boy Tony the Savant. Y'all my bosses. Y'all the guys I do the research for, that I want to make sure I'm bringing the content to. Keeps it a bean. So, y'all the guys that I work for. Y'all the bosses. And I'm the guy that loves to work. Let me get back to work. Peace.